Right, so hello, welcome. So I'm here, I'm going to be talking with my buddy Keith, who is my dive buddy when I go diving. He's going to be on in a second. And we're going to talk about my trip to Egypt and what we're going to be doing in Egypt. So let's bring Keith up and we'll have a chat. And hi, Kai. Hi, some of these people. I can't see everyone's going to be chatting, so I'm going to see all the streams, but let's bring Keith up and we'll go from there. Hey, Keith.
Hi.
So Keith is my dive buddy, and we're going to be talking about certain things. Charlie's in the stream. You see Charlie down there. So what we're going to be doing, what's going to happen, do you think? What we're going to try and do, what we're going to go for?
Well, the first priority is to get some content for the channel. Main trip is going into Hurghada. Possibly dive sites around the outskirts of Hurghada, Safaga, possibly Salem Express, Abu Nas Reef, which is also known as the Reef Graveyard, which has a lot of wrecks. It's one of the best diving sites for wrecks round Hurghada. I'm hoping me and you will get lots of content. We're planning on possibly 2 to 3 dives per day, hour dive, each dive. I don't know what it's going to be like. COVID has restricted the amount of diving that goes on in Egypt. So the waters have recovered. There's a lot of life. And just generally, it's really good diving out there. So, Joe?
So explain the Salem to people who don't understand what's going on. So the Salem's a ship that sank in the 80s?
Yeah. It was a ferry coming back from Jeddah. It was fully loaded with everyone coming back from their Holy Week back into Egypt. It hit rough seas, hit the reef, split open the loading bays, and sank, killing about 1,600 people. So in Hurghada, the town itself, majority of people are related or knew someone that was on that ferry. So it's very, very religious and very, very personal to the people in Hurghada. So divers have to show the utmost respect for that wreck.
Yeah. But you're not allowed to touch it, you're not allowed to take anything from it, you're not allowed to...
Yeah, you're not allowed to touch, of course, because there are personal belongings still on that wreck.
Yeah.
It's a stunning wreck to see. It's huge, utterly huge. You can get to go through it. Round over, right the way down. There's 2 lifeboats at the bottom. I think one of them has broken up and fell apart now, but there's still one big lifeboat because the wreck sank so quick. It went down very, very rapid. People couldn't even they didn't have enough time to put the lifeboats off before it sank.
So it's almost like a Titanic then, almost, but on a small
literally, scale. Yeah. The Titanic took a long while to go down. This didn't. It went down really, really quickly. I think in total it was about 14 to 15 minutes from the point it hit the wreck to it being completely underwater.
Jeez.
So I know the Titanic took a lot longer.
That's mad.
But yeah, it's also in a lot deeper water as well, the Titanic.
Wow.
Yeah. Abu Nas Reef. Abu Nas Reef, it's also known as the ship's graveyard or graveyard reef. It has 4 wrecks. Giannis D, the Kimon K, and the other 2 I can't remember off the top of my head. But they are literally, the reef runs round and they are 1, 2, 3, 4 wrecks.
Oh, wow.
Sunk at different times, but they are all within the length of the reef. So that's a really good wreck.
We've got a question I'm going to put up on screen for you.
Yeah.
So my deepest is 36.5 meters. What's yours?
44.8.
Jesus Christ, that's near enough 50.
Yeah.
Wow, that's pretty good. Yeah.
On gases for divers, they normally dive on air or air and nitrox. But once you go below 40, you should be starting to dive on what they call technical gases, which is helium and stuff like that. So it then becomes a lot more complex, and their risk factors are a lot more. Any other questions?
Yeah, sorry, I'm getting some rude stuff here that I'm trying to get the moderator to sort out for me.
Right.
When am I next on Insta with Sam? Oh, with Deep Fried Boy. I don't know. So there, a good question for you. No, wrong one. That's just hey, Alex. Alex, an old friend of mine from school. Wrong one I want to pick up. That's the one I wanted.
Does it get hot or lower? It varies, but most of the time it gets colder the deeper you go. We have things in water called thermal climbs. They are a section where water flows through, water above and below. The thermal climb can be warmer. So you can go cold, and then you'll go into a warm patch and then back out a warm patch into a cold. But normally, the deeper you go, the colder it will get because the sunlight is blocked from the water. So it doesn't heat. You got a big area of water to try and warm up. It's like sitting in a bath. It starts off hot, it ends up cold.
Yeah. And then we've got this is how it works. People ask questions, which is pretty cool. So I can here's one for you, Keith. You know, I know this as well, but I'll get you to answer it because I always get it slightly wrong.
What's the difference between a wetsuit and a dry suit? Wetsuit is basically when you get into the water, the suit itself actually becomes wet, and then there's a thin layer of air between the wetsuit and your body, which warms up, and the water in it warms up, so it keeps the heat against your body. A dry suit is a sealed unit. No water will touch your body. It will only touch your face, but if you've got a neck seal and wrist seals, it will you will stay bone dry within that suit. You can actually put air in that as well to allow slight buoyancy, but normally buoyancy is controlled by your buoyancy control device.
I've got this one here from Jake, which is asking about the Salem.
Yeah. No, the Salem, 1,600 people passed away. They died because a lot of people in Egypt, the younger generation and the older generation didn't learn to swim. So when the ferry went down, it went down very quickly. They couldn't get the rescue boats out to them quick enough because the reef is quite a way away from Hurghada. And by the time they got there, the majority of people died. There was only, I think, about 120 or 130, roughly, survivors.
I just got asked this one. So my best dive site so far has been Fuerteventura, where I met you.
Yeah.
Mainly because I've only done really I did 40 dives over there in the case of 6 weeks.
I've got so many sites I like for different reasons.
Yeah.
But I'm a shark fanatic. I love sharks. Always have, always will. So for me, it's the Brothers Island in Egypt, where you actually get to swim with hammerheads, white tips, and stuff like that. So the Brothers Islands for me is one of my favourite. Epistone Reef probably second.
Yeah. So any other questions we've got? People are asking some good questions in actually. I'm quite pleased with this. Here's a good one for you.
Well, it's something. There is actually a video feed somewhere online called the Deep Sea Exploration which apparently they are finding fish and octopus and different species which no one's ever seen before. As far as I'm concerned, I think everything that is in the levels I've dived has all been discovered. I've never seen anything that I can't label or someone has already recognized. But there is a YouTube or a video link of the deeply explanation, and they are finding things in the deepest places in the world, but they're not diving, they're sending down like a drone submersible.
Right, so here's a good one. I learned to dive in the Canary Islands in Fuerteventura with a company called Deep Blue.
Yeah.
And Keith, you learned, where do you learn?
I've learned at a couple of different places. It depends on what course. But if I had to say where I did my dive master, which was in a place called Lanzarote, which is one of the Canary Islands, which it was easy for me to get to from the UK.
One from my mate Alex Dunn. I think he means how many of you dived round, not died round.
Yeah.
How many ships have you dived around?
Me, something in the region of between 100 and 120 wrecks.
It's pretty good. What's your favourite wreck?
It's a tough one. If I have to say for history, it's the Thistlegorm. If it was sheer size and what it is, it's the Zenobia in Cyprus.
Oh, I've been told I've got to do the Zenobia at some point. That's one where you go in. There's all of the cars and yeah. I'm told I've got to do that one.
That literally sunk on its maiden voyage, the Zenobia. It was coming over from Sweden, and it sunk. It literally bellowed and sunk just on the outskirts of Larnaca in Cyprus. It is one of the biggest ferries in the world that has sunk. Now,
I don't know this is the real Nicholas too. You don't know who he is. Everyone in the comments knows who he is because he's one of the TikTokers. I have no idea if it's the real one. He's asked a very good question.
Sure. Coolest animal I've seen while scuba diving. Go on, you go first, Joe. I've got to think about this because I've seen so many.
There's a couple actually. One is a seahorse, little seahorse. I saw a Molly, a tiny little seahorse. They're tiny little things.
Yeah.
I saw a pipefish in Swanage, which is pretty cool.
Yeah.
And I think one of the coolest for me at the moment is probably the sea hare because it's just so bizarre.
Yeah.
You know?
For me, it's a thing called the pygmy seahorse. To explain how small and how hard this is to see, you need to go and Google it. The pygmy seahorse. It's about the size of the tip of your nail. It's about 5 or 6 centimeters.
Yeah.
You know, you're talking about that big. And they are exactly the same color as the piece of coral they live on. So they are white with red spots.
Okay.
And they are tiny. I mean, I've got photos of them with macro lenses, which blows everything up. So it makes a fly this big look the size of a picture. So it gives you an idea of how small they are, but they are beautiful and they're very shy.
What do you make of this question?
Scariest moment for both of you.
Mine was probably when I don't know. I ran out of air once with Danny. And then
I remember that.
Yeah. But I think when a certain, I'm going to say certain songs, I don't want him getting in, whatever. I think when a certain person decided to play around,
yeah,
and start the engine on me, it's not really like I was actually safe because I was actually in front of the blade, so I'd be pushed away.
Yeah.
But even so,
Yeah.
it's quite a scary moment. Yeah.
Scary moment for me. It's going to make everyone laugh. Probably the first day I ever put scuba gear on and put my head in the water.
You know, I never thought that.
Honestly, I did not know what to expect.
That's a really good point.
Once you get over that initial fear, I got addicted to it, and that's what made me carry on diving the way I've been diving. But probably that first moment, regulator in the mouth, face in the water. That was the scariest moment for me. But after that, it only lasted a few seconds. But that's probably been the scariest moment I've ever had.
And then we've got this one here, which is quite cool.
Favorite time of year diving? Whenever I can get away. Anytime. Because wherever you go in the world, there'll be nice weather, and the seas really doesn't matter when you go diving. You can do diving in the summer, right, all year round in Egypt, in the Philippines. It can be different times of the year, but different things appear. Like now, there's lots of manta rays and sharks in the Philippines and the Maldives. In July and August and September, the sharks appear in Egypt. So it really depends. It doesn't matter. As far as I'm concerned, I'll dive any time of the year.
We've got another one here. I've just lost it. It was good. It's an interesting question. You can't really answer this one. It depends, doesn't it?
Yeah, that one, it really depends on what paddy course you're taking. If you're doing open water, it's around about a 4-day course. Advanced is about 4 to 5 days. And then the rescue diver is around about 6 or 7 days. So the time the course takes, it really depends on you as the student and also the type of course you're taking.
Here's one from Charlie. I know he's still in the room, but
yeah, Charlie, have you ever been diving in pitch black? Yes, all the time. Night dives, probably some of the most exhilarating dives you'll ever have. You take a torch, because if you dive pitch black, you're not going to see anything. It's utterly pointless. But at night, a whole new series of animals will crawl out the reef. Certain fish go to sleep, other fish come out hunting. So you've just got a totally different environment. You could dive it during the day and see loads of stuff. Dive it at night and it'll be a whole new environment.
How about that?
What type of tanks do you use? Oxygen tanks, basically. They're air tanks. Steel.
I always correct you with that, because it's air, it's not oxygen.
It's air. It's air, but we use oxygen tanks for emergency purposes, which are on the boats or on land. But air tanks are the regular scuba diver's choice. They're made of steel, or the other type are, again, air tanks made of aluminium. They are lighter. But other than that, there's not much difference. You can have a single tank, double tank. It's entirely depending on the type of diving you're doing.
There's another question I just thought was pretty good. Where is it? I've lost it. Someone said, I've lost it, which is really annoying. Someone said, is there any way you don't want to go again? Is there any dive site? There you go, there is. That one there. It's Max again.
Where would be one place you wouldn't dive again? For me, I live in the UK. I'm a bit of a wuss when it comes to cold water. I'm not a big lover of quarries or British diving. One, because yes, there's some lovely things to see, but I just don't like cold water. I would prefer to be diving somewhere warm, good visibility, and somewhere when you get out of the water, you don't end up all huddled around the car engine because you're freezing cold. So UK diving is not always my favourite. I prefer to go abroad and enjoy myself.
Is a good question.
is there any shocking things that were unexpected when you started diving? No, not really. A lot of people take up diving not knowing. Educate yourself, look into it. Don't believe all these shark attacks and this happened and that happened. Training is the key element, as far as I'm concerned. If you are trained and trained well, you are responsible for your own safety. And as long as you are trained well, then you wouldn't take risks. So as far as I haven't seen, me personally, I haven't come across any shocking experiences that would put me off going diving.
I've told the story on my TikTok before about you, where I lost you in the sea.
Yeah, that's not a shocking experience. That's just you losing.
I'm going on something else. I'm not talking about this.
But then, I don't see that as a shocking experience because I know where you are.
No, I wasn't using it shocking, but I just changed the subject. So this guy, I met Keith about a year and a half ago.
Yeah, must be.
And I got to know over the course of a few weeks and here and there and different times of the trip. And there's one dive we did where Keith was my buddy. We've been guided round. I think we've been guided round. What reef was it? It wasn't Amethy. It was the
other one with it where we go.
It was a big drop.
Pyramid.
Yeah, big drop. Anyway, so there's a shelf, and then about 12 meters, and you go down to like I think it was like 25 or something if you wanted to.
Yeah.
And I'm halfway down this shelf, just poodling along, and I turn round. I'm like, where the hell is Keith? I can't see him anywhere. And Keith's got his eye on everyone. The problem is he's a photographer. So he's always taking photos here and there. He stops for long periods of time to take a photo of something. He's in macro. He has to go, like that. Like the King Seahorse, you've got to stop, wait, and just get it just right.
Yeah.
And anyway, so I go, okay, right. I go up onto the reef. I turn around. I look down to see if I can see him. Still can't see him. And you said you still got me in your eyesight at this point.
Yeah.
Because I can't see you. I have no idea where you are. It's all blue to me.
I know, that's the problem.
That
is where a lot of people don't get it. With photographers, and this is a good thing to be as a diver in generally. Because a photographer will take his eyes off a group. He has to know where all of those group are before he goes and does what he needs to do. Because he needs to know where people are heading. Because if his buddy's swimming that way and he's taking a photo there, by the time he looks up, his buddy could have gone somewhere else. So I know where everyone is. So when I went down to do that picture, I knew you were above me. So when I come up, I know that I'm looking in that area roughly where you were. It's sometimes a tough one to do. It becomes ingrained in you. A lot of diving guides are always looking where their divers are heading. They're not looking at where they are. They're looking at which way they're swimming. Yeah. Because if they're heading that way, the chances are they can veer off different directions, but they're going to be in that sort of area. So it's very easy for them to find someone quickly.
I mean, I've got this now, haven't I? I got this while I was over there last time. I got myself one of these. I got myself one of these things.
An air horn.
Yeah, and as you know full well, that most dive centres hate them.
Yeah,
and
they're okay when to a point. I hate people that use them because there's two types. One that will only work above water and one that will work below water.
This does both.
Yeah. And the problem is they scare a lot of wildlife off. As soon as you hit the button, they send out this shock wave, and anything that's even close will disappear. So I get why people use them for safety, but it's the people that use them to get people's attention. It drives me crazy. I don't mind people having them, but I would say they're more used. I would use one of them more so for when, if you were diving on a liverboard, where you do what we call in the diving industry a drift dive. That's where they drop you in here. Normally, you go round and then you come back and you get out where you got in. On a drift dive, you drop in here and you drift. And you come up over here somewhere. And that's where you come out. Now, the boat is still back where they dropped you in. So you've got to acknowledge the boat. And that is where those things are, for me, one of the best things.
You've also got your SMB, though, to keep you to where you are.
Yeah. Also, yeah, but if you're in a wave, you've got a 6-foot SMB and you've got waves doing this.
True.
A 6-foot SMB might not get seen. You might be, the boat might be on the down dip and you're on the top part of the wave, and then you're doing this. So sometimes they're good. Underwater, another reason I don't like them underwater is they use your air supply up. So every time you press one, you're using air that you could be using to breathe.
Yeah. Here's a good question.
You're shortening your diving down.
No, exactly. Here's a good question for you.
This is something you will come across on a regular basis. Some people are not as refined as others, and some people are not as careful as others. So this is something you will see. I'm not going to say in each country things can be different. Me personally, I would never touch coral reef. It's just, you don't do it. It's not nice, especially in Egypt. It's not allowed in Egypt. You shouldn't touch the coral. But I've seen people touching coral reef, but I don't agree with it. I will say something. If I know the person and they're on my boat, I will tell them, no, you shouldn't be doing that. But it's their, you know what I mean? It's not dangerous, but it's also, it's not done. Because if they damage it, it could take 3-5 years before that little bit of coral grows back. So it's not something I disagree with. It's just something, every area is different and every dive centre is different. So, but it's normally countries.
This one's from a friend of mine on TikTok. It's not really a question, it's more of a statement.
Go on.
I'll explain it to you later on. But I'm just putting it up there so you can see that it's been put up.
Probably.
Yeah. So, yeah. Apparently my PO box isn't in my bio anymore. I'll look at it in a second. Oh, that's a good question from Charlie.
Have divers ever been lost and never found at sea? Yeah, there has. There's been a few divers lost and never found. They normally, if something happens that injures them or something like that, there has been. I've never been present when it's happened, but there is stories of divers that have never been found due to probably injuries or dying. I know in Egypt, the Blue Hole is notorious for killing divers because it's so deep and it confuses people. That is one, but I think they've recovered everybody that's died in the Blue Hole. I think the Egyptian government send special divers in to recover the bodies. Yeah.
So yeah, trying to find my PO box. Someone said it's gone from my bio. You has TikTok for my PO box from my bio again. I'll sort it out for a minute, Charles. Don't worry. I'll get that sorted in a minute. I'll put it in the description down here. Let's see. Let's look for some more questions. No, there's a good question again from Charlie. Different Charlie.
When you scuba dive, does it require any diet change, make the strange habits? No, not really. The healthier you are, better you'll feel, because it's a physical sport like anything else. A lot of, but you don't have to. I mean, people say, "Oh, because I'm vegetarian." Well, no, it does not. You can dive if you're vegetarian, vegan, meat eater. It's entirely up to you, as long as you're physically capable. So diet change doesn't make that to strange habits. So no.
Like a lot of divers, I hate to say this, but it's true. Quite a few divers are quite weighty.
Yeah. Yeah, you find that. You just find, but then most divers are not normally. The younger divers are people that work within the industry. Recreational diving is for people like, someone that's going on holiday and going to dive while they're on holiday. They're a general person, and then normally diving's not a cheap hobby, as you know, Joe. Regulators, tanks, kit, it can be rather expensive. I mean, your average kit, a complete kit, will set you back in excess of £1,500.
Yeah.
Just to start with. And then there's lots of other kit that goes with it. So it's something that a lot of, people don't spend money on until they get later. So, of course, we do like a beer after a dive as well.
Well, I like a cider, but yeah. There's another question for you there.
Rarest fish. I don't think I've ever seen any rare fish. I've seen bluefin tuna, and I've seen trevally. That's probably two of the biggest fish I've seen. What they call gigantic grouper. And, rarest fish. I don't think I've ever seen a super rare fish. No. I have seen an endangered species, though, which is called an angel shark, which Joe has seen as well.
Yes, we have. We've both seen angel shark. I nearly touched one once. We were. I was trying to get the tag on its tail for Joe, and again, these things aren't aggressive. They're very placid.
They can be aggressive.
They can be during mating season, yes, but when it's not mating season, they're not. They're quite friendly. You've got a wonderful picture of one, actually, like right close up.
Yeah. That was at the top at Chazars.
Yeah.
That was taken at the safety stop at the bottom of the drop line.
Yes. So if we go to Fuerteventura in our heads, what would you say your favourite site on that coast is?
Don't know. Really don't know. They're all different in their own ways.
Yeah.
I don't remember the dive site's name, and I haven't got my dive information up in front of me. But there's one where there's a gully and a wall. Boom. And you come up 2 steps and then the drop line. And there's a section where a lot of stuff is swimming through the middle. It's like a channel. And that's really nice because you get the rays in there.
Yes. Right. So we've now got one. I'm not going to. I'm going to put this up because I'm keeping that up so people see the fan mail address for them.
Yeah.
So, how do scuba divers make money? That's an interesting question.
You'll never see a rich scuba diver. Most scuba divers that do the job as a living will never become a millionaire because it's not the highest paid job in the world. But you get to travel and see some amazing places.
Right. You've got to go in 5 minutes, don't you? It's nearly 5:30.
Yes.
So
yes.
I'm aware of that.
That's all right.
So what's going on with the bricks? It's green screen. I want to put something behind me other than the green screen so it doesn't look weird. Here you go. Here's a good question.
How much to get diving starter kit? Diving starter kit, the price can start kind of low and it can climb up. It depends on what you're buying. There isn't really a starter kit. I always say if you want to take up scuba diving, go and do your course with a dive center and use their rental gear, because from that you will get to see the sort of equipment that you use, and then you can look at purchasing your own equipment, because least of all you want to do is purchase all the equipment and you don't like diving. Do you see what I mean? You spend a lot of money on equipment and then you don't like diving, then you end up selling it and losing a lot of money. So dive centers will have equipment that you can rent and use. So I always recommend, when you first start your course, use the rental equipment, because it's going to work out a lot cheaper. If you enjoy diving and you're going to carry on diving, then you can purchase your own equipment.
So the other question is, well, another thing I always say to people is, go and do a try dive. Go to paddy.com or bzac.co.uk and find a dive center and do a try dive and see if you like it. That's how I always tell people.
Yeah. A lot of the try dives in the UK are done in quarries and places like that, unless the dive center is close to the sea. Just remember, the British waters, the visibility is nowhere near like places like Egypt and Spain and the Canary Islands, Italy. They have a lot more visibility. So when I did it many years ago, I went and done my try dive when I was in Greece, and I got the bug. Once I got the bug, I really enjoyed it. I went and done my first course. If I remember rightly, I went back to Turkey on a holiday, and part of that holiday was my Paddy open water. And then I went back 3 months later on another holiday, and I did my advanced open water. So yeah, that's the way I would train, but that's personal choice.
Right, I'm gonna give you a last question before you go, because
one more
because they're shit waters.
And I will shoot.
I'm gonna last question. It's a fun one.
Go on. Joe, do you think Atlantis is a conspiracy theory? Do I think it's a conspiracy theory? No, I don't. I think there is some. I don't think anyone lives there. I just think it's a sunken city. I think because of rising water levels, they've already found off the coast of Italy a place like Atlantis. It's not Atlantis, but it's that example. There are cities like in China. There is pyramids under the water because the lakes and the places are flooded. So there could possibly be something out there that would cover that. Do I think it's a conspiracy theory? No. I just think it's a story from our history, but I think it's been lost somewhere.
Yeah.
And I mean, like I said, there's off the coast of Italy, there's a place where the Greeks, the whole city is buried underwater, and you can see the city, what's left of it, underwater. You have a look on Google, you'll see it. So I do think there might be something in the Atlantis story.
It's 5:30. I'm going to give you one more because it's actually a very good question. And then let you go.
Yeah. Does the different waters require different equipment? No, not really. The majority of diving, unless you're going to start diving under ice or very, very, very cold waters like Iceland and places like that, the standard equipment for diving is a first stage regulator and octopus, which can be dived in cold or warm waters. They are universal. You only start needing specialized equipment when you start diving in really, really cold waters. I'm talking about, waters that can be anything between 2 and -10. So, and if you want to dive in those sort of waters, good luck. I don't fancy freezing.
Right, I'm going to let Keith go. Keith's got a meeting to go to, apparently, so I'm going to let Keith go.
Nice to talk to everyone.
We'll do it again, Keith. People love that. I'll bring you up again sometimes. People really enjoy doing the question and answer thing. So
yeah, that's fine.
All right, cool. I'll talk to you in a bit.
All right, Joe, look after yourselves.
Will do.
Nice to speak to everyone, and I'll see you soon. Bye.
Bye. Right, so that was my mate Keith, who is my dive buddy. He's also going to be filming for me. He's going to be filming for me in the future and stuff. I'm going to move him from the stream. There you go. Right, so yeah, that's it today. I just want to do a quick one to get people to understand what's going on about Egypt. Get you understand what's going on, what we're doing. That's my fan mail address there because TikTok have removed it again. I have to put it back up again. But yeah, thank you all for coming along. Any questions before I go? Unless I would recommend scuba diving. Yes, Jackie. If that really is Nick, get Nick to send me a message on TikTok, and I'll unban him. And to Charles, I talked to my team, and we'll see what we can do. Yeah. All right, guys. Thank you so much for coming along. I will do the next one in a couple of days, I suppose. But yeah. Thank you for coming along. Thank you for talking. Again, fan mail address if you want it. It's here. And I will see you all soon. Bye.